Thank you. Thank you so much, Kara. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. This morning, my talk is entitled, In This World, Not of It. In this world, not of it. And I so often contemplate that teaching from Jesus that implies we can be in this world with all its craziness, all its instability, all its changing nature. Seems like it's changing really fast every day. But we can maintain a state of peace through it all. That we can be engaged here and bring our most conscious self, but live without attachment. Live in a live with a kind of dispassion towards the world, no matter what is happening in outer circumstances. Here's the thing, if we don't know how to not be of this world, if we don't know how to not be of this world, we get lost in fear and we get lost in anxiety. We get lost in separation, in this play of separation. So, is it possible? Is it really possible? And what would it look like to be in this world but not of it? This year of 2020, we were talking about this earlier before service, but it's been like a fantastical fictional drama. Um, Only that it really did happen. It really happened, and it's still happening. We've had fires. When we're not quite done with the fire season, we've had a pandemic. We have an election. We have a president in the hospital with a deadly virus, and God bless him, and God bless his healing journey. But it's like this material world is stuck at a 5 alarm fire frequency. But I think of that prayer that we just said, Gandhi's prayer for peace. I love that prayer. And that line, my wisdom flows from the highest source. As your minister and as someone who is figuring this out, there's really no map for where we are right now. But, Spirit offers and provides the map when we get still, like we just did. And we tap that wisdom. When we become receptive to that wisdom that flows from the highest source, then we know how to meet this moment as unusual, as unprecedented. Boy, that word's been used a lot. Oh, it's all so unprecedented, but it's the wisdom that flows from the highest source that guides us in meeting it and meeting it again and again. And when we rest in that wisdom, there is an absolute reality that is peace itself, and it is untouched by all the drama, and it is available every moment if and when we turn towards it and we turn away for a time from this world of form. There's a realm of stillness beyond the thinking mind, and that realm is far, far beyond this material world. Um, let's see, about 8 years ago, Michael Singer asked me to do an album of his songs that he wrote. We did the Songs of the Untethered Soul album together. And he sent me a song to learn called Far, Far Beyond. And Far, Far Beyond is, it describes being in this world, not of it. The lyrics go, far, far beyond is a place that I have seen. Far, far beyond is a place beyond your dreams. Far, far beyond is where I long to be. Far, far beyond, my beloved waits for me. My beloved waits for me. Jesus knew that place. He knew the beloved. He merged with the beloved. That realm, he knew that state of consciousness. And he describes that beautifully in the words from the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 23. You are from below, I am from above. You are of this world, I am not of this world. And he went on to explain, in the world you have tribulation, but take courage. I have overcome the world. And to me, he's saying, if we will discover the state of consciousness he has merged with, the I am, the I am, we will have peace. We will live in truth, and that truth will set us free. It'll set us free from suffering, even though the circumstances in this world are challenging, sometimes really, really challenging. And so we don't get there all at once. That's why it's called spiritual practice, you know. But if we're determined, if we experience more and more of that peace that is far beyond the mind's understanding, we are living more and more in this world and not of it. There's a Sanskrit word that describes what it is to be in this world and to be of this world. In other words, lost here in this material realm. And the word is samsara. Samsara. It means the cycle of death and rebirth to which life in the material world is bound. The cycle of death and rebirth and death and rebirth and death and rebirth to which life in this material world is bound. And in the Eastern religions, they say we're sleeping. We're sleeping and we're dreaming that this world is all there is, and that our spiritual journey is to wake up. Wake up, you sleeping gods. Wake up from this dream, from this samsara, from this cycle of living life after life after life without realizing our spiritual nature. I remember, I think it was Ramana Maharshi that said, it's incredible grace. It's a great blessing if you even know that there is an awakening to be had here. Spiritual masters often use the analogy that humanity is sleepwalking and unaware that it's even asleep. Amma has said that so many times, that the hardest person to wake up is one who doesn't even know they're sleeping, right? If we know we're sleeping, if we know that there's more than this material world, but we haven't fully realized it yet. And that's the wonderfulness of this adventure in consciousness. But if we know there's more to realize, then we're in a position to advance along the path of awakening. The interesting thing about this metaphor is if we are asleep and we're having nice dreams, it's funny, I was having a really nice dream when my alarm went off this morning and I didn't I didn't want to wake up. And it's a perfect analogy that if we're having nice dreams in this world of samsara and everything's going well in our lives, and there's no pandemic, there's no social distancing, there's no fires keeping us on edge, life is comfortable, and we might feel like, hey, I like this dream. I'm not interested in waking up. The dream's a good one. I'm perfectly fine sleeping. Thank you very much. But when the dream starts to become chaotic and plagues appear and we feel trapped in our home for months on end, and there's political and social unrest that's escalating and fires are threatening our survival, well, we start to want to wake up from this dream. We start thinking, hopefully, we start thinking more about waking up from this because it feels like a nightmare. I was reading some work from a sleep researcher and professor, James Pagel, and he said nightmares have one powerful purpose. They rouse us from complacency and slumber. He says the classic nightmare places the dreamer in a situation where there is no way out but to awake. And so, spiritually speaking, to awaken spiritually is to overcome the world. It's to realize a greater reality, and in that be here fully and live your best life, completely active as love in action. But don't get lost here. Don't get lost. And if you get lost, remember again, wake up again, move more towards being in the world, not of it. Now, you might wonder if you're awake or not. A good way to tell if you're awake or not is how much peace do you maintain when things are really hard? How much peace are you able to still tap when things are really hard? The Buddhist teacher, Patrul Rinpoche, says, when your belly is full and the sun is shining upon you, you act like a holy person. But when negativities befall you, then you act very ordinary. I know this firsthand. I've seen it in myself. All the years that I have gone to India and stayed at the ashram, very austere place, this ashram in India where I would visit Alma for a month at a time. It would show me how awake I wasn't. You know, when you're sleep deprived and you're sharing a room with 8 other women and you're sleeping on the floor on a hard mat and you don't have creature comforts at all, when you're doing 10 hours a day of seva and spiritual practice, some of which is cleaning toilets and washing clothes by hand, and when there's 1,000 other people you're living with in this ashram, uh, and they start to get on your nerves, you see how enlightened you actually are or are not. And it's great. It's actually really humbling. And that is actually a great blessing. I spoke of humility last week. I actually, when I'm humbled or when I see other people humbled, I know it's a good thing. It's a blessing because humility is really being opened up again. It's like, you know, when we're arrogant, it's like our cup's full and we have no room to grow. We have no room to learn. But if we're humble, it creates room. We go, oh, okay, I have ways I can grow here. And that's a blessing because then we continue to grow. So the present challenges can be viewed as a gift, whatever they are, and as a prompting towards a stronger, more solid inner peace, a stronger development of dispassion for worldly circumstances. I always love to find the common teachings between spiritual masters and between religions as an interfaith minister. And the Buddha offered a beautiful teaching that goes hand in hand with the teaching from Jesus on being in this world and not of it. Gautama Buddha said, live in joy, in love, even among those who hate. Live in joy, in health, even among the afflicted. Live in joy and peace, even among the troubled. Living in joy and love, living in peace, it doesn't mean that we're apathetic about other people's suffering. It does mean that we are centered in the truth so we can bring an uplifting energy of peace and love and joy to the world that's lost in suffering. Gosh, if we were just all suffering and nobody was reflecting a mirror of joy to us, nobody was reflecting a mirror of love or peace to us, we'd be in bad shape. So we can be that mirror. We can be that mirror of someone waking up or someone awakened in this moment. Buddha goes on to say in that same teaching, look within, be still. Free from fear and attachment, know the sweet joy of the way. That has always been one of my favorite Buddhist scriptures. It's got such solid guidance on how to not be of this world, not be of the world. Look within, turn away from the outer world, be still. Find the reality beyond the thinking mind. Discover what that mantra, be still and know I am God, means, what it's pointing to. And be free from fear. Be free from fear. And that's an ongoing daily practice to keep embracing our fear and dissolving it. It's a tall order, you know, especially when we're worried about losing our home. Be free from attachment. That's another tall order, but it is possible. You know, believe it or not, when you lose your home and you lose all your possessions, all is not lost. Life goes on and you realize love is your greatest possession. And since God is love, since love is God and God is eternal, you can't lose love. So that's the thing to be attached to. So many spiritual masters say that in so many ways. Let all of your attachments just dissolve into just one, coalesce into just one attachment, and that being the attachment to knowing God. So to live in peace, in joy, even among the troubled, even among those who hate, and to live without fear and attachment, this is what I believe Jesus was teaching, demonstrating over and over, and what Buddha was teaching and demonstrating. But I want to make this point clear that it doesn't mean we stick our heads in the sand, because I know when things are hard, that's a tendency. I'm seeing that right now a lot, actually. Jesus obviously didn't stick his head in the sand. He didn't just meditate on the mountaintop, and he sure could have and lived a nice long life meditating on the mountaintop. No, he came down here and he taught people. He spoke to people directly about how to live here in the world. He spoke about transforming greed. He spoke about transforming selfishness, transforming hatred. He spoke about judging less and forgiving more. He described how to treat the poor and those in need among us. So he offered powerful ethical teachings on how to live in this very world. But he balanced those teachings with how to seek the kingdom of heaven within, that realm. Kingdom, I learned recently, is actually realm, another word for realm, and how to seek that realm within. I think that describes it better. But how to discover that far, far beyond this world, there is a reality, a greater reality, an ultimate reality. In a lot of ways, Jesus, as all great spiritual masters do, pointed us to moving from living in a state of separation and in a state of ego consciousness, ego driven living, to a state of living in oneness with our Creator and with each other, with a focus on love. His focus was always moving from division to love and extending our love to our neighbor, to God, to the poor, to everyone. Some of the very last words that he spoke were out of compassion for ignorance. We look at ignorance in this world and it can just, I know for me, I can feel, it can really make irritation arise. It can just make frustration arise and even helplessness sometimes arise. But he had tremendous compassion for ignorance, and he worked, as all masters do, tirelessly to awaken people, to wake them up out of their ignorance and out of that samsara cycle. When he said, his nearly last words, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They are asleep." And they don't know they're asleep. They're full of fear. And they don't know that as they stay full of fear, they stay in separation from their very source, where they could be filled with love and bliss and peace. They don't know the truth, though, about their eternal consciousness. They don't know yet. They don't know yet how to live as embodiments of love. We can see that the ego or unconsciousness in humans, it so often betrays love. It wants to be right instead of being close. It doesn't want to forgive. It does things like it throws friendships away when there's a conflict. How many times, have we done that? The ego is really synonymous with separation. It's what keeps us in samsara. When we wake up from this dream, we realize we're not separate, not from our Creator, not from each other, not from infinite eternal being. And as we awaken, life becomes a great adventure, a marvelous adventure, because we play in form and we love and enjoy playing in form, and we explore the millions of ways we can express love. But we don't get lost. We don't get lost here. Or we get lost and then we wake up. It's part of the play. Getting lost is part of the play, but we wake up eventually. And when it's time to leave this particular form, we just bow. We just bow in awe at the amazing adventure that it's been. And we merge back into the blissful light of eternal being until the next adventure begins in form. When we can live like that, we have overcome the world. Then we just come as bodhisattvas. We just come to bless. So in closing, My prayer is that all of us and all of humanity awakens and awakens quickly, and that we are able to live in joy and in love and in peace, and even among all the troubles and tribulations of this material world. Living in this way, we bring a piece of heaven to earth every day. May we each bring a piece of heaven to earth every day. May it be so. And so it is. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Kathy. May it be so. May it be so always. Such a perfect message for the times. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome.